Boys, we are back. Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Squad Talk FPL Podcast. Already, I'm told, the Pope's favorite fantasy sports podcast on the internet, and we're not stopping there. Who am I? I'm your host, Nick Boonstra. I'm a 10-year veteran of the FPL wars, West Ham United fan, for better or worse, and currently working full-time as a rideshare driver in the greater Boston area. More than excited to get back to Fantasy Premier League after about a year and a half away from the game. How we doing today, guys? Things have changed. If you're on YouTube, there's visuals. I'm here. You can see my face. You can, I guess the picture's a little grainy, so maybe you can't see my sweat, but it is hot in Massachusetts. I don't know what sin we committed, what we did, other than all the usual ones, to deserve such a brutal summer, but we are getting it, and I am getting it probably more than most because we don't have air conditioning here in my apartment. So any Brits listening, I feel you. I don't know, you guys have fucking nuclear weapons, but you haven't figured out air conditioning yet. I wish you well. Me, I'm just fucking broke, so I don't have any excuse for that. Things have changed. We got visual, we have better audio. There's a microphone here. Look at that. I got a TV because we haven't had one for months. I live a weird life, guys. Don't judge me. I had a TV. It broke. There was a fucking $80, $90 TV at Walmart, which was surprisingly cheap. And I was like, the season starts this weekend. I can't afford to miss a game. I can't afford to miss a minute here. So we got that. So we're ready to go. The eye test is going to be out in full force for the coming week. I got notes. I took notes on what I want to talk about, and I took them physically so that I can share my screen with you and not give away all of my secrets here. How was my week before we get into the FPL? It's been an interesting week because, again, here at Squad Talk, we are all about winning the week, whether on the field, off the field, in FPL, away from FPL. We got to go out there. We got to win our weeks, guys. And did I win my week? I tried my best. I spent the entirety of last week trying to convince my body that going to bed at or around 2 in the morning and waking up at or around 9 in the morning was workable, was feasible, was a good idea. It wasn't. That didn't work very well. And I know it didn't work very well because I finally, on Monday, I took it. Mondays are usually my day off, and I would have recorded this. I'm recording this Wednesday afternoon. I'm late. I'm already late. It's week 2, and I'm already late. Recording this on Wednesday afternoon. Would have recorded it on Monday, but I just spent the day doing laundry and getting things and recuperating as much as I could. I got a bubble tea. Listen, you can't complain if it's a Monday and you get a bubble tea, all right? But I actually went to bed at a halfway decent time on Sunday, and I woke up at 8. I set my alarm for 8 a.m. Monday morning, and it felt amazing. I was like, this is correct. This is what the world, my body, this is what we should be doing. Or maybe, I don't know, Monday maybe was, but Tuesday, I woke up at the right time Tuesday. I was like, this is it. This is correct. And so yesterday I do that, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to go out. I'm going to log into Lyft. I'm going to leave the house at 10:30 a.m. and just get going into Boston and go from there. And everything was going smoothly. It was a very quiet Tuesday. And I was ready to quit. They fucking logged me out because when you hit 12 hours logged in time, they're like, okay, you have to take 6 hours off. And I have learned that the hard way. But they logged me out at 11 and a half hours while I'm waiting at the airport parking lot. Long story short, I argued with the Lyft chat support for a while, finally got a ride, and he was going all the way up to New Hampshire. So as long as you're under 12 hours when you accept the ride, you're good to go. So I took it and got home at 3 in the morning. And so I'm right back, and then got up at 9 a.m. today. So I'm right back to the whole, I'm gonna bang out this episode, get it up. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see me. I'm still gonna do my best to make this an audio experience that you can enjoy as well. But if you're listening to this, watching this, know that your boy is trying to get back into the flow of, being up at the right times. The worst part of all is I took today off again, knowing that A, I would record this because I didn't do it Monday, and B, I'm part of an FPL draft league with some friends, and I swear to God, I thought the draft was tonight. It was Wednesday, but it's Wednesday the 20th, because apparently I'm a jackass for thinking that the draft should take place before the season starts. Apparently the commissioner, and I've been in this league before, so I know that, I should know that, giving you fucking Trump hands here. Anyway, we're here. It's FPL. It's game week 1. It's time to get back into it. I'm excited. I'm glad you're here with me. If you're new to the podcast, thank you so much for joining again. We're new to the podcast. Everyone's new to the podcast right now. I would love if you would leave a follow or a subscribe wherever you're listening, watching, so that you don't miss another episode. If you really enjoy what you hear in this episode, consider leaving 5 stars, a like, whatever, share it with a friend. My goal here, and again, I'll get to it, I didn't do a good job of this in episode 1, but my goal is always going to be making content, making FPL content that new players, people that don't even play, can find accessible, can find enjoyable. So if you never log into the FPL website and you just want to follow me on my ups and downs, I would be more than happy with that. And I'm going to do my best to make videos, make podcasts that will allow you to do that, that will allow you to follow along and feel part of this. So where are we going for this episode 2? Well, other than previewing my team, and it's still not locked in, you're not going to get finalized teams from me. I'm sorry. You go on Twitter, go to the pros, go to the experts. They'll give you team leaks, and they'll let you know exactly what their team is going to be precisely. They'll give you those Friday podcasts. I'm not here for that. I'm just here it's all vibes, baby. We're here for the vibes. But what I did want to do is, I told you last week, I told you just now, what I want this to be is something easy to understand, accessible, people getting started with the game, people who are interested in soccer in general and just want something to follow along with. And so what I want to try to do is each week I want to try to give you one concept, idea, something that might help you understand the game better. I don't think I'm really going to get into the very basics. You can only pick 3 players from any real life team. So if you're going all blues, you're going to have to mix and match Brighton, Chelsea, and that. I'm not going to get into all that. The website can tell you about the very base level, how you play the game. You get a $100 million budget, and who knows, maybe I'll get more into explaining that as well. But I thought it would be a good idea to try to grab onto more concepts that are important to playing the game and how the game is played, try to explain those to you, how they factor into how I play, how I think about the game, how I think they should factor in it, and just give you an understanding so that as you build your team, as you figure out how you want to play, you can work all that out for yourself. So the concept that I want to get into today is called effective ownership. I'm just realizing now that I don't have any graphics. So if you're on YouTube, you're watching me, maybe I'll pull up I'll see if it's live. We're doing this livefpl.net. Great. Yep. Thank you, advertisements. You're doing great. All right. I think effective ownership is an interesting name. The game refers to selection. It doesn't explicitly refer to ownership. If you're going into the FPL interface here, and we all know how much we love the interface this year, and you're choosing stats, things to sort by, you'll see teams selected by percent. It doesn't, the game within the game doesn't refer to it as ownership. You can choose, I guess, which word you want to use. I don't really think we own these players. We're spending our £100 million to select which players we want to play for us. So I think effective selection might be a better way to refer to it here. But Live FPL, and this is perfect, they've even got a mock team up here. Live FPL is a great resource for tracking things like effective ownership in the game, live during game weeks, things like that. So what am I talking about? So FPL is a combination of 2 things. It's FIFA on one hand, just picking the best players, or maybe Football Manager is a better way to think of it, picking the very best players that you can and the best combination that you can with the resources that you have to build a team that's just going to do as best as possible, score as many points as possible, literally get as many goals, assists, clean sheets, whatever, as you think. And if that's the only thing that you're thinking when you're building your team, that's perfectly fine. I think the game might be better if more people played it in that way, where the only thing you're thinking about is just, okay, I have this much money to spend. Who are the best possible players that I can get on my team? And just leave it there. That's half of FPL. The other half of FPL is Family Feud, and I really hope this translates. I don't know if you guys have Family Feud in the UK, but here in America, we have a game show called Family Feud. Steve Harvey, I forget the guy who hosted it when I was a kid, but it's Steve Harvey now. And what Family Feud is you get 2 teams, 2 families, and they both have to, there was a certain survey question. We asked 100 people, what's, the worst topping that you could put on toast and still have it be edible? Whatever, something crazy. And what happens is, I think a lot of people are bad at Family Feud because they only think of their own answers. They think of, what do I think is the right answer to this question? What makes someone good at Family Feud is the ability to think, what do other people think is the correct answer to this question? What does the crowd, even if I think it's dead wrong, crazy, what are the masses thinking in terms of what the right answer is, what people should do here, whatever. FPL, you get a little bit of that. If everybody on planet Earth playing FPL, if everyone on planet Earth plays FPL, that would be exciting. If every manager in the game chooses Mo Salah from Liverpool, the midfielder, the man, the myth, the legend, the winger, the GOAT, more or less, of FPL, the Egyptian king. If every single person playing the game picks Mo Salah, it doesn't matter if he scores 20 goals in a game. Every person playing the game is going to get those points. No one is going to have any sort of advantage over everyone else. And so the Family Feud half of FPL is taking a step back and saying, okay, these are the players that I think are going to do best. But a lot of other people, and we'll see, we can see this, a lot of other people seem to think that this player is going to do pretty well. And I'm not super high on that person's chances of doing well, but I think there's enough of a chance that I have to factor that in to how I make my decisions and how I play the game. Now, why is it called effective selection? Because if we go right here, even before the game has started, we can see teams selected by percent, and we can sort by it. We can look in the profiles of the players that we've picked, and we can see teams selected by percent. Here, Ezri Konsa that I've brought up is at 24.3% of all managers have selected this guy. I'm pretty sure that only means that, like, selection refers to your 15. I don't think selection factors in once you have them in, whether they're benched or not. So that is worth keeping in mind. But the game itself tells you who are the most selected. Look, Jeremy Frimpong is probably something on Twitter that I haven't seen, has gone way up. 30% is massive. Wan-Bissaka, I feel like I was just looking yesterday, and Wan-Bissaka was the most popular defender at 29.1% now, with Frimpong at an even 30%. So that's interesting to keep in mind just as I'm talking and looking here. So the game tells you that. It tells you how many managers are selecting a certain player. What it doesn't tell you is how many players are captaining or even triple captaining a certain player. So every week, every player, every manager gets a captain's armband and a vice captain's armband. Right now I've got mine on Erling Haaland with the vice captaincy on Mo Salah. That means that however much Haaland scores, it gets doubled. So every week you get one captain, and that captain's point total is doubled. Positive or negative, listen, things have happened in the past where a popular striker may or may not have played for Watford, may or may not still be in the Premier League, is really... Am I thinking, was that Joao Pedro? I don't know. Anyway, there has been instances where very popular captaincy picks get red carded, which is, if they don't do anything else in the game, would be a negative point total, and then you multiply that, so you're literally losing points. You gotta watch out. So by captaining Erling Haaland, what that means is I will, for this week, effectively have 2 copies of him in my team. I'm effectively playing as if there were 2 Haalands, or maybe to put it another way, my selection of Erling Haaland is at 200% instead of just, the one of him, a regular 100%. Vice captain comes in if Erling Haaland doesn't play, not if he scores 0. If he does not play a single minute, your vice captain assumes the captaincy points double. Sometimes your captain will, maybe, again, get a yellow card and get pulled after 45 minutes, 0 points, no bonus. You're not gonna. They're still gonna be your captain. 0 times 2 is 0. It doesn't go over to the vice captain unless your captain does not play at all. So keep that in mind. Again, here I am talking about basics. So there's this whole idea of effective ownership or effective selection. The reason I bring up Live FPL is because it's a website that once the game week kicks off, it takes them about half an hour to an hour depending. But once the deadline passes, and that's going to be this coming Friday. Usually it'll be on Saturday mornings for where I am, so I might not even be awake for some of these deadlines, but I think it's Friday afternoon. I mean, we can look it up. It's not important. Once that happens, this website, livefpl.net, and I'm sure there are others like it, this is just the one that I'm used to using, you can hook it up with your team. If you go into the browser URL line of your FPL team, you should be able to get a number. I don't know where that is for this year because everything sucks. Team details, yeah, I have no idea. So I'm going to have to look into that because in the past that was different. But you should be able to look at your team and in the URL get a little ID number that you can hook up with the live FPL. Because once FPL goes live, like everyone's teams are fully public. You can make many leagues with your friends. I will make one at the end of this video. I'll edit it and I'll make sure I make one. Hi there, Nick back right at the very end. I forgot to make the league. It's no mini league. It's a full league. Screw mini leagues. Too many syllables. I don't know, man. O like the letter, 7. H like Harry, A like Alpha, X like X-ray, P like Peter. 07 HAXP. That's the Squad Talk FPL League for 25-26. Join today, it's free to play. But all the teams are public, and so once FPL goes live for the week, websites like Live FPL start scraping the entire, from team number 1 all the way up and making records of like, okay, who are people selecting? Like, yes, the game keeps track of those selection percentages, but who's people captaining, who's on the bench, and so you get a picture of that effective ownership. Basically, if you want to benefit from a popular player's points, you need your effective ownership of that player to be higher than average. So if across the whole entire game, a lot of people not only have, say, Mo Salah, but have him captained and his effective ownership is 150%, you would need to have him captained, have your own effective ownership of him be 200% in order to actually benefit from those points over the average team and climb up in the overall rankings. There's going to come a time years down the line when I've been doing this for a while where I'm going to re-explain all of this and it's going to make much more sense. At least I hope so. And so that's something that you need to keep in mind. For my team personally, I told you last week, I don't have Cole Palmer. I still don't have Cole Palmer. He's got me worried because he is going to be a very popular pick. If we go in here, 10.5 million is a lot. He's at a 59% selection percentage. So that's, before captaincy, anything is taken into account. Over half of all managers going into game week 1 currently have Cole Palmer in their squad. That's spooky. That's a scary thought. That's a lot of people, and I'm not one of them. So that means, and then some of those people are going to have him captained as well. So there are some people who are just nervous enough owning Cole Palmer, selecting Cole Palmer, having him in their team, not captaining him, thinking, shoot, how many other people are going to have him captained and are going to get, more points off of him than me, past me in the ranking because they had him twice and I only had him once, right? So that's something that people need to think about. Now, again, if you go back from all of this and say, well, if I just pick the 11 players who scored the most points this week and have my captain on the player in my team who among those is going to score the most points, then I really don't have all that much to worry about, right? It's really, you could just play the game that way and you'll do well, right? Effective selection, effective ownership is something that you should be aware of, because if you have Mo Salah vice captain like I do and he goes off, you might be wondering why, so many, it's like I had a really good player in my team. Why am I so low in the overall rankings? And it's because so many more people had him captained, things like that come up. It does also mean, on the flip side, that if you are, and I'll even switch to my list view here because you can, or at least I thought you could. Let's see if I go to pick team and I go to list view. Sometimes it'll show you the selection percentage. Anyway, I have a lot of players in my team right now, and I'll get to who's actually in there in just a second. I have a lot of players in my team right now who are at a very low selection percentage. So Erling Haaland, 22.8% is relatively high. It feels low for him, and I think it's going to go up. Evan Nilsson beside him, 2.2%. I think he's a very underrated asset to start the year. Now, part of it is because he's playing Liverpool the very first week, Liverpool away nonetheless, and you can see in the FPL Zone little fixture difficulty rating here that it's a dark red 5 out of 5 for difficulty. Just vibes, but I've kind of got some doubts about the Liverpool defense right now. I'm more than ready to be proved wrong. I can't wait for next week's episode where I can actually have a team to review and give you all the ways that my team was awful. But 2.2% is real low. And so what that means is if he goes off, let's say he gets 8 points game week 1. He's not going to be my captain or anything like that. But if Evan Nilsson ends game week 1 with an 8-pointer, what's that, a goal, 90 minutes, and maybe a bonus or something like that? Very, very few other managers will have those 8 points to cover mine. You know what I mean? Like, I will have an advantage. And again, maybe they get Ollie Watkins and he gets 10 points. So that, you know what I mean? But the 8 points that I'm getting from Evan Nilsson are an 8 points that very, very few other managers are getting. And if Ollie Watkins, a more popular pick, does only get, say, 2 points, then, you know what I mean? That's an advantage. That's an easy jump over. So it does work both ways. If you're picking not so popular picks, and usually differentials, depending on who you ask, might be considered anyone with less than 10% differential as compared to, the template, TM registered, like the Twitter, everyone, all the aggregated idea of the best players and who everyone is going to have on their team, right? So right now, Mark Yu feels like a very template choice, only 14.1%. But when he moved from Chelsea to Sunderland on loan, my immediate, gut, very first thought, and I was second guessing this for a while, but I'm sticking with it. My very first gut thought was, okay, I need this guy, even if he's just a bench option, because he's only 4.5 million, and he's now on a team where he at least has a chance of getting real minutes, real time playing, if that is needed. One other thing just worth keeping in mind while I'm talking about ownership percentage, selection percentage, that goes obviously up and down from week to week. Right now we're in preseason, pregame week 1, where we can make as many transfers as we would like to. You can make unlimited free transfers before the game week 1 deadline. Obviously, once game week 1 starts, if you keep making transfers, you start getting docked points. So if you have 1 free transfer in the bank, that's good. But once you make a second, that's just an easy 4 points off the next week's points total. Whatever you score in that week, -4 for making too many transfers. And again, you can bank those, you can roll those, so you have that option. But as players bring in and move out, as managers, I should say, bring in and move out players from their teams, select someone in, transfer them back out. If enough people do that, if enough people transfer a player in, that player's price will go up. So I wouldn't be shocked if Erling Haaland has an early price rise. Just to say again, 22.8%, that's not wicked low, but certainly has been and could be higher, even at his 14.0 million. A lot of people can get itchy, I almost said handsy. A lot of people can get antsy, there's one, early in the year with, seeing a good player go off in game week 1 and I gotta have him any game week. I gotta get this guy, find a way to get him in my team. So I wouldn't be mad if Haaland, of course, I plan on holding on to him for a while as long as he stays healthy. But if and when I ever do sell him at any point, you would ideally like to be selling him for more than you brought him in for. You can have a points a squad value total over the 100 million that you started with. A player needs to increase by 0.2 for you to gain 1/10 in sell value. So Haaland or 0.2, right? So he's 14.0. If I sold him at 14.2, I would get 14.1. I'm not going to try to explain that right now. I'm sorry. That's not helping. So that's a little primer, a little just word salad, a little episode 2, new to podcasting, figuring it out on the fly on the concept of effective ownership, effective selection, whatever you want to call it. Transition now into what does my team look like, and I'm just going to tell you up front, I'm not going to be the best at remembering exactly who left and who came in. So I think what I'm going to do every week is just read out my team as we get to the Squad Talk portion of the Squad Talk FPL podcast. I'm just going to let you know who's in and not try too hard to remember who came out to replace them. Now that being said, I don't think I've made too many changes. I know I'm not always going to do a great job of remembering, but this week I'm fairly confident that the only changes were Queven Kelleher out at goalie, Nico Williams out as a defender, and I think that might be it. So right now my starting 11 looks like West Ham's Alphonse Areola in goal. Right up front, that's going to change. I'm not married to him, especially since West Ham just signed that new goalie. I will tell you his name. Mads Hermansen, yeah. So this guy, Mads Hermansen, I read that he's going to be taking the... You don't want to watch me wipe my nose. I did read, so Mads Hermansen, I did read that he's going to be getting the number 1 kit number for West Ham, and so that leads me to believe he might be starting over Alphonse Areola. So we'll see. I just want a 4.5 goal. You know what I mean? Because I really think Dubravka is a solid starting option, even with this yellow flag, only 75% chance of playing. He's against Tottenham away. for Burnley game week 1. So like that's not a great fixture. So like I probably am just going to keep him on my bench anyway, even if he does get up to fitness. But like he's probably going to be starting a decent number of weeks for me. Burnley plays bullshit defensive football. That's the Burnley way. That's the Turf Moor way. Sometimes you can really luck out. I mean, with a 4.0 goalie moving after the prices are set, but before the season starts, into a starting role with another club. So like Dubravka may be a godsend. And again, talking about template, he's probably going to be pretty popular. What's he, 28.5% first among goalies for selection percentage? So like, yeah, a lot of people are going to have Dubravka. Do with that what you will. I would love to get Jordan Pickford as my starting like premium goalkeeper. He's 5.5 million. My current squad does leave $500,000 in the bank. I would need to jump up a full 1.0 million to get to Pickford. So like I might toy with it a little more. There can be, both with like a Burnley and with an Everton, poorer than average teams that focus on defense. Sometimes those goalies can be some of the best assets in the game, or sorry, some of the best assets at their position, as compared to like a world-class goalie like an Ederson at Man City, like an Alisson at Liverpool. Those guys are really good too. But what happens is sometimes the bad teams have more shots coming in. And so even though maybe they do let in a goal, maybe two, it's always a risk that you run. The fact that they're getting more shots coming at them gives them more opportunities to make saves. And the more saves you make, the more points you get for that. So sometimes a cheaper goalie on a poorer team that you know is still a talented goalie, or that you know is a defensively minded team, sometimes that can actually be more points for you, because A, if they do keep a clean sheet, that's great, but B, they're doing it making more saves. Whereas an Arsenal goalie, a Liverpool goalie may keep a clean sheet, but may not really have to make many saves at all doing it. So that's always something important to keep in mind. Anyway, right now it's Areola. I don't hate the fixture. Sunderland away to start the year. Again, I've got Gio on the bench, so I don't really worry too much about that conflict. Defense, it's West Ham's Diouf. Sunderland, I know Aaron Wan-Bissaka is the popular one. I just the vibes are there, man. The gut is speaking, and it's saying Diouf is the one. Those crosses coming in from the left. He is Aaron Cresswell reincarnated. Like, it's just going to happen, man. Tarkowski at Everton, away at Leeds to start the year. Again, he's contractually obligated to be the game week top scorer, overall top scorer. He will get a 24-point game week once in the year. I don't know when it's going to happen. I don't know if he'll be in my team at that point. I hope he is, but like, it just happens. And like, to be fair, Leeds like to attack. So like, they're going to be sending shots his way. And as I say that, I'm like, I really think that Pickford could be a good option in goal. But for right now, I do have Tarkowski, those defensive contributions, the odd cheeky header, things like that. And then Konsa, my third defender for Aston Villa, facing Newcastle at home. Who's going to score goals for Newcastle? Like early drafts, those 0.1 iterations, I did have Anthony Elanga in the midfield. 7.0 I think is a good price. I think he is an interesting option. But like, who's he going to get the ball to? Is he going to score all the goals himself? Like, what's up with the whole Isak deal, right? And again, we could be proved wrong. He could just start like nothing happened and be his usual self for Newcastle, and that would be terrifying. But right now, I am scared enough off Newcastle to say who's scoring their goals, who's doing their dirty work. Konsa, yeah, decent fixtures as well. Brentford away next week. Crystal Palace at home, game week 3. Palace are always better than I give them credit for. Same with Nottingham Forest. I think I mentioned that last week. So, like, do with that what you will. But right now it's Konsa. He could change, and he could. I mean, he is a 4.5. Udogie at Spurs was an option, and there are good Spurs options too. I have been thinking about players that I'm swerving on, and there's one in particular that I'm going to get into in a minute. But like, there are definitely Tottenham defenders, especially under Thomas Frank and his kind of mentality and set pieces and things like that. So guys like Christian Romero, Pedro Porro could be very interesting. Udogie's someone I had my eye on. He also has a yellow flag last time I checked, so gonna just wait on him for now. I mean, yeah, Konsa might change. We'll see. Midfield, I've got, again, Mo Salah for Liverpool, my vice captain, at home to Bournemouth, game week 1. Bournemouth is going to be interesting, though, so be careful. Their fixtures, yeah, they're rated as a 3, and that's probably fair. Watch out for Bournemouth this year. Manchester City's Bruno Fernandes facing Arsenal at home. Mohamed Kudus for Tottenham against Burnley at home. West Ham's Lucas Paquetá against Sunderland away. And Arsenal's Declan Rice for Man United. Now, Arsenal is the biggest team that I feel nervous about skipping on. If Tarkovsky's Law is rule number 1 of the Squad Talk FPL Pod, rule 0, this is above, this is the foundational, the core, the most important thing I can tell you as a 10-year veteran of the FPL wars. I don't care how good you were in whatever other league on the planet you were playing in, the La Liga, the Bundesliga, Turkey, Portugal, France, anything, the fucking Major League Soccer, anything, Australia, Saudi. It does not matter how good you were wherever else in the world. You will suck in the Premier League. Like, you need to prove it. Until I see otherwise, you need to show me that you can play in England. I'm zooming in for this one. YouTubers, you're getting the full face. The only exception to this rule is Erling Braut Haaland. He is him. He's just him. I can't explain it. I don't know what to tell you. And so there's a new striker at a very attractive price for Arsenal. And his name is Victor. His last name is an excellent question. To my English-speaking eyes, it looks like Gyökeres. I think the more faithful Swedish would be Gyökeres, if I understand the Wikipedia IPA guide correctly. 26.0% team selected by, second among forwards. He's good, man. He's good. And he looks good, and I'm excited by him. Again, 9.0 million. What did I say? 9.5? The dude's 9.0. Like, what are we talking about here? 9.0. He's going to be good. I am scared of him, and I do want him in my team. But when you have Salah and Erling Haaland in your team, things get difficult. It's one of the reasons why I can't fit Cole Palmer in. It's one of the reasons why it's hard to get Jordan Pickford in. It's one of the reasons why most of my players besides those two are fairly low on the team selected by percentage. But beyond all that, it's the Premier League. I don't, and even Gyökeres specifically had a bit of an interesting preseason situation where he didn't train with his club in Portugal until he joined Arsenal and didn't start training with them. You know what I mean? And so there's all these questions, right? So Arsenal, both Gyökeres and defenders like Gabriel and all them are some of my biggest worries about leaving them out of my team. And whenever I wild card, and completely rethink everything again, I'm going to try to hold off until game week 8. But like, those are going to be important thoughts, important things. But for now, I just can't trust him while he's new to the league. And there's questions about his minutes split with Kai Havertz and just how the team is going to line up. So, like, we'll see what happens. But for right now, I'm trusting, who I trust. I was, for a little while, playing with bumping Declan Rice down to like a 4.5 midfielder like Newcastle's Lewis Miley, likely to sit on the bench so that my third striker could be someone a little more competitive. Nicholas Fulkrug has been catching my eye for West Ham in preseason. I know it's only preseason. I know he was god-awful for us last year. I want to believe the hype. We'll see what happens. But for right now, I am going to stick with Rice. Trust his set-piece abilities. Trust his open play abilities. Trust that he's going to get defensive contribution points. Again, there is a bit of a conflict with him going up against Man United in the very first game where I also have Bruno, so I'm kind of relying on them both to get goals, possibly in conflicting ways. But Liverpool, and like I said, this is all subject to change. I'm talking this out with you real time. Do you think these notes are exhaustive, conclusive? Do you think I figure everything out before I start talking into a microphone and let a camera start recording? What are we doing here? Come on, buddy. So Rice could certainly be Lewis Miley by the time the deadline comes around. On my forwards, again, Erling Haaland for Manchester City against Wolves away, my captain to start the year. I will say, too, a little bit nervous about not having any other Man City assets. But again, okay, so rule 0 is everyone sucks if they haven't played in England before. Haaland's the only exception. Rule number 1, Tarkovsky, goated. Rule number 2, don't trust Pep Guardiola ever on anything ever. I don't care. It doesn't matter. And again, Haaland is the only exception where if you're trying to figure out who's going to start for Man City in any given week, just stop trying. Just stop trying to think about it. Don't even, it's not worth asking because there's no answer. And especially, I don't even know all these Reinders, Tijani Reinders. I should like him, right? Dutch, right? That's a thing. I don't know. He's I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who plays where. I just, in Holland, we trust. Because everyone else in Manchester City's squad is subject to the Pep roulette. So it's Haaland up front alongside Evan Nilsson. Again, Liverpool away for Bournemouth to start the year. My bench, Martin Dubravka for Burnley, Tottenham away. Again, yellow flagged with fitness doubt, so decent enough bench option. Don't really worry too much about goalkeeper, man. And then my 3 substitutes, mostly just to come into the year. Again, if you're brand new to FPL, your subs come into the game if someone in a valid position hasn't featured 0 minutes. Again, not 0 points scored, but 0 minutes. So, like, if sometimes depends on what formation you're in. Like, you can't have less than 3. You can't have less than 3 at the back. What defenders? Jesus, you can't have less than 3 midfielders. You can't have less than 1 forward. So if you are, at that minimum 3. So like, if I had Mark Yu as my first substitute, right, the forward for Sunderland. And then Diouf doesn't play for West Ham. They just start Emerson, and everything I know is a lie. Mark Yu would not come in for Diouf. It would go to Senesi, who is right now my second substitute, going to be my first, but just for demonstration purposes. It would default to the first available person who can fill the slot so that you're not below the bare minimum. So Senesi for Bournemouth against Liverpool would be your first substitute in a situation where a defender doesn't play when you only have 3 at the back. Things like that. So anyway, I'm gonna put Senesi as my first. He's just good, man. And I know it is worth, Kirkes is also phenomenal, and he left for Liverpool, so it's going to be interesting to see how he does over there. Dean Howson and Bournemouth has seen some change, and I may be a little premature to trust anyone in their defense right now. We'll have to wait and see. It's why he's a defender. It's why he's a substitute, especially against Liverpool so early. I want to play that one safe. Mark Yu, and again, he could end up being my first sub. It might not be awful, but he's slated for Sunderland against West Ham at home. Stadium Light is back in the Premier League, man. I'm excited that Sunderland's back up, and I think this might be the year that we break the curse. It's only been 2 years, but I think at least one promoted team is staying up. I honestly think Burnley are the most likely to do it, but we'll see how that goes. And then my last sub, we'll have to come up with a name for the third sub, the dead seat, the rocking chair, whatever. Axel Tuanzebe, defender for Burnley, Tottenham away for game week 1. I really don't expect, and everyone's saying Estev, I should just replace him with Estev, but you can go your own way, you know what I mean? Like in the words of, that's Fleetwood Mac, right? Please tell me. We're gonna go with Tuanzebe. It's just he's calling to us. He speaks to us. What a name! I mean, anyone named Axel, unironically, is how could you not, right? So that does leave us with $500,000 in the bank. More changes might be made. We've got until Friday. I'm so excited that football's back. I'm so excited that the Premier League is back. And I'm excited that FPL is back. What else did I have? Yeah, so there are different players that I'm a little nervous about leaving out. Victor Gyökeres, I told you about. Ollie Watkins is always good, and I always doubt that he's going to be good, and then he's good. You know what I mean? So, that's tough. For Aston Villa striker, he did have, I was looking at his stats, and maybe I'll even pull them up here. He did have a couple years ago, where it looked like he might have overperformed. Yeah, last year, 186 points. The year before that, 23-24, he finished with 228 points off of 19 goals and 18 assists. But then the year before that, 175 points. Year before that, 131. Year before that, 168. So that 228 looks more like an outlier than anything, especially, and I could go on a whole entire rant about how, XG is a kind of a, not like an old timer cranky, I hate XG, but literally from a statistical point of view, I hate XG. I don't think it does what it thinks it does, but we use it and it's decent enough. We only have XG stats here for the last 3 seasons, but 22-23, 16.15 XG, 15 goals. 23-24, 16.74 XG, 19 goals. And then last season, 24-25, 15.12 XG with 16 goals. So that 23-24 was an overperformance. It was a massive overperformance on his expected assists, and he's overperformed that number for all of the 3 years that we have it, but really overperformed that last year. I don't know. It's confirmation bias. Listen, we play gutfully. We wager emotional capital, and we play on vibes-based, GMO-free gut feelings here at the Squad Talk FPL podcast. Did I even tell you I named my team the Boone Squad? Could get it because I'm Nick Boonstra and it's the Boone Squad. Yeah, so that's my team for this year. So Watkins, I'm swerving. I always kind of feel just iffy on him and Villa in general. Every year they're going to dip back down to earth, and every year they don't. Palmer, I talked about. Morgan Rogers is another Villa option that's very popular. Again, I'm sure he'll be great, and I'm sure I'll regret not having him in my team, and I'm sure in 3 weeks he will be. Virgil van Dijk is the big one. So like I said, I've got a gut feeling that, I don't know about the Liverpool defense this year. I don't know why I don't know about the Liverpool defense this year. It just seems, you know what I mean? Where it's due, it's time. And then Jared Bowen up front. I mean, Virgil, he's expensive. It's tough. He'll get you goals, and again, the defensive contributions. And listen, there's plenty of time for me to change my team. We'll see what happens. Jared Bowen is the other big one. I love West. I got the shirt on. I got the shirt. You can see the fan league badge, right? It's all here. I don't know about a West Ham triple up, whether it would be Bowen or even Fulkrug. Fulkrug has been doing well in preseason, so that's something to keep in mind. That's something to watch out for. Ooh, kicked the desk. So we'll see what happens. I don't know if Bowen and Fulkrug are almost going to kind of take away from each other, and it's just the fact that Bowen is so good, but he's been a midfielder, and goals scored by midfielders. Sorry. In FPL, he's been a midfielder. He's always played where he's played for West Ham, but FPL classified him as a midfielder up until this season. Now he's a forward. Goals from midfielders count for more than goals from forwards, and defenders even more than that. And then, God forbid, a goalie ever scores a goal. Something crazy. God bless Tim Howard. And I worry that that's going to hurt his production, hurt his points output. The fact that he's, again, probably correctly classified as a forward this year will mean Jared Bowen, I don't know what it's going to say. And then the fact that Fulkrug might be coming into his own, the fact that Antonio is out means that someone's got to play starting, center forward. I think Bowen is best on that right wing, cutting in on his left foot. We'll see how Callum Wilson factors in too. And then, again, who knows what more moves, probably in the winter at this point, but what else happens? So Bowen, Watkins, Rogers, Van Dijk, Palmer, those are some of the players that I feel most nervous about leaving out of my team, but we'll see how it plays out. I'm going to try not to bench boost, but I'm going to try not to wildcard too early, but we are still going to keep our eyes open in terms of what transfers we can make. I'm not super averse to taking hits when need be. I try not to be too trigger happy, what's the word? Tinkery. I try not to tinker too much. We're just making up words here. Listen. So that's where I'm at for this week. I'm excited for FBL to come back. I'm excited that you're along for the ride. Like I said, if you're new to the podcast, please leave a like, subscribe, a comment on YouTube would be amazing. What can I do better? What would you like to hear? What questions do you have? You can reach out to me at squadtalkfpl@gmail.com. And if you're new to FPL, again, I'm so glad to have you along for a ride. Like Sun Tzu said, the best time to add Erling Haaland to your squad was 20 years ago, but the second best time is right now. I've been Nick Boonstra. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Go out there, tinker with your team, and make sure that you go win your week. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you again soon.